Alright guys, I only want you to be working on 7.6 if you feel like you're doing really well on the first 4 sections, because those, as I've said before, are the most important. A lot of 7.6 is review. There is something new in it that is good to know, but it's not going to be highly tested, so it's not something I want you to spend a lot of time focusing on. Those of you that are doing well and getting ahead and you know you're going to be doing some advanced math classes, this is especially for you because you're the ones that are going to need to know this, like in Algebra 2 and Pre-Calc. So an exponent function. A function, which for our intents and purposes is really an equation. We're going to talk more about functions and function notation in a few weeks, but think of it as an equation. So a function with a variable in the exponent is called an exponential function. Okay, now there are some review terms that you definitely need to know whether or not, this is stuff you have to know for algebra. Domain is associated with the x values of a relation, and range is associated with the y values of a relation. So I guarantee they're going to ask you that on the ECA. Even if you don't get through all of this lesson, that is something that's good to review. So when I'm identifying the domain, I'm looking for the x values. So in this section here, I have a 3, a 4, and a 1. All of those are domain values, so I'm just going to list them. 3, 4, and 1. And then it also says that they want me to identify the range, or write down the y values. So 2, 2, and 4. Now you don't have to write the same number twice, so I'm just going to write 2 and 4. Now again, we're going to review a function, remember, does not have repeated x values. All you care about is the x values. As long as they're not repeated, then it is a function. So 3, 4, and 1, those were all unique numbers. So it is a function because none of the x values were repeated. Okay, now underneath you have a graph already drawn, so I'm just going to quickly sketch it on here. You have your y and your x axis, and then you have something that looks like it might be related to an absolute value function. So I want to know if this is a function. Now besides looking at all the x values, we learned something called the vertical line test. So what you're going to do is you're going to use your pencil or your finger, something like that, and you're going to go across, okay? And you're looking to see if at any point, so just imagine each of these lines is my pencil, checking my equation here, to see if at any point my function, the black line, crosses my pencil more than once. As long as it only crosses once, then it is a function. So we would say that yes, this is a function. Because it passes the vertical line test. Now, all of that was actually review. I reviewed it because I know it's been a long time. It's not something that we use a lot. I will guess that you're going to see it on your acuity coming up, and it's always good to review old stuff. Now, the new thing is to actually graph an exponential function. So I see this equation, y equals 3 to the x. Now, they're going to start writing functions as f of x, and all f of x means is y. So f of x is 3 to the x. And the way that we're going to graph this is we're going to make a table. So on your table, you're going to list your x values. You always get to choose x values. Then you're going to put your function 3 to the x in the middle, and you'll put y on the end. And what these are going to represent is you're going to have a list then of ordered pairs, x comma y. So I'm going to pick an x value of -2, because I always like to know what it's doing in the negative side. Well, 3 to the -2 is 1/9. So it's some little itty-bitty number. It's not negative. It's a small fraction. So I'm going to have an ordered pair at -2, 1/9. All right, so now we're going to try to graph this. So go ahead and draw a large graph. Draw it something like mine, so you don't need a lot of negative y values, because I just plugged a negative number in for x. And because of where the x is situated, is this graph ever going to be negative? No, because the negative is only going to cause it to become a fraction. It's not going to cause it to become a negative number. So here at x equals -2, the y value is very, very small. It's 1/9. So we're just going to put it barely above the line. Now let's go ahead and put in a 0. 3 to the 0 power. Well, anything to the 0 power is always 1. So my next ordered pair is going to be 0, 1. So now I'm going to put a dot here in the center, 0, 1. Then I might put in a positive 1. 3 to the first power is 3. So I'm going to have a 1 and a 3. So that means go over 1 and up 3. And I can do one more pretty reasonably. It fits in my chart here. 3 to the second power is 9. So my ordered pair is 2, 9. So I'm going to go over 2 at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So hopefully that can fit on your graph. If not, try to round it. And what happens with an exponential function is it's going to keep going up really steeply. And you're going to try to connect your dots in like a curve. But what you're going to make sure is that your ending line, where the arrow is here, does not cross the axis. So there's a fancy word that you'll study in pre-calc for this line, and it's called an asymptote. And so it's never going to cross that line. It's going to get very close to it. It's going to become a fraction that gets smaller and smaller and smaller, like our 1/9. But it's never going to become negative, and it's never going to become 0. So this right here would be an exponential function. Now, there is not a lesson check video for this or quiz on My Big Campus. What I'd like you to do is, it's a short assignment. Go ahead and show me your completed guided note sheet. As long as I can see that you have it filled out pretty much correctly, then I want you to go ahead and start on the assignment.